We're going to work on some sequences using the body lock pass. So our setup is going to be my hips in line with Darren's hips. I win the head position, hands go on the inside, so my head's underneath Darren's head, my forehead goes into his chest, and then we flatten them out. So on our last variation, on the first video, what we did was we stayed on our knees and we did a hip switch. So I slide my right knee out, my left knee drags Darren's right leg towards my right leg here. Once this happens, I go 2 knees on 1 shin, and then we start to sprawl, and we can work get our body lock pass, and we can go from here. So again, on our knees it looks like this. Slide your right knee away, so you create space to slide your left knee to your right knee. Your right leg goes back, and then we get our 2 knees on 1 shin, and then we can sprawl, and we can start attacking the body lock from here. Another option from here, very similar setup, but this time we're going to bring our weight forward and our knees off the mat. So instead of like using just pressure, we can use pressure and mobility. So I step with my right leg, left knee follows, and then we switch when we're standing. Then we slide onto our training partner's knee, and then we go into this sprawl position. So again, we're up on our knees, so we're up on our toes, knees are off the floor. I step with my right leg, left leg follows. I'm bringing Darren's right heel over to the left hand side of his butt. Right knee goes back, we go 2 knees on 1 shin, and then we sprawl and look to the side we want to pass. So I flatten my training partner out. I want to connect my knees to my elbows, so if Darren tries to hip escape left and right, this should make it very hard. If he does manage to create space, I just slide my knee back up to my elbow, and I do the same on the opposite side, using my head to keep my training partner flat. If Darren takes his right shoulder off the mat, so if he sits in towards me, I just use my head on the top shoulder to pin him back down, and then we take that space away. If Darren brings his left shoulder off the mat, I look to the opposite side, and then I use my head to put that shoulder on the floor. So whichever variation of the hip switch you want to do, we can either do it on our knees, where we drag the leg over, we hip switch and sprawl, or we can use it when we're up on our toes and our knees are slightly off the mat. We step, right knee, or left knee goes to right knee, 2 knees on 1 shin, and we sprawl and look to the side that we want to pass. So what we want to do is keep our elbow nice and tight. I want to keep my head towards that top pec. If Darren tries to sit up on his side, I'm always pressuring with my head here. I use my elbow, or I use a false grip on my forearm, whichever you prefer. So it's either elbow, false grip and forearm, and I'm pinning this knee down to the floor. Once my left knee clears Darren's right knee, I switch my hips, drop my hip onto the floor, and I reverse into Darren to turn his knees up towards the ceiling or away from me, where he can't get his guard back. So I win the head position battle, hand position on the inside. My hips are lined up with Darren's hips. I flatten them out. I'm going to go with an open-handed grip. If you want, you can go with S grip, gable grip, whichever you want to do. I'm going to go with open hand. So knees are off the floor for this one. So we have 2 different versions, knees on the mat or knees off the floor. I step right, left leg follows. I drag his heel over to his left side, sprawl my right leg back, 2 knees on 1 shin, I look to the opposite side, and we sprawl here. Keeping our elbow nice and tight. If Darren sits up on his side, I'm using my head on his top shoulder to flatten him out. So I never want him to get shoulders off the floor. My left knee clears Darren's right knee. Once this happens, I pressure with the wrist and the hand or the elbow. So whichever you prefer, just to keep this knee down on the mat. So my hips are facing down. I'm going to turn my hips towards the wall. I keep connection with my hip on Darren's leg. Sit my hip over, and then we reverse into him. And then we get into a nice tight side control. Knees are off the floor, step to the right, left leg follows. I drag his heel over to my right hand side, straighten my right leg. We go 2 knees on 1 shin, look to the opposite side and sprawl. Against an opponent that maybe is like flexible or has long legs, they might be able to hook your hip here and try like take your back and look for counters like arm bars, triangles, omoplatas and that type of stuff. Stay with like a tight waist grip. You don't want an underhook because your arms are extended and it's going to put you in a vulnerable position. So we stay with like a low tight waist. Always using the head on the top shoulder. So if I find that I'm not able to clear this hook, again against someone that has really long legs, it can be hard to clear them. I'm going to go from a belly down position to like a side on position here. So Darren's still able to track my hip with his heel. I keep walking and I get tension in the leg. And then just when I start to clear the knee, I back elbow to free the hook, and then we can go into our side control position where we can start attacking. So again, we're in that sprawl position. Darren has the hook on the top hip. Find that, like, if I keep walking, he's just following me here. So he's following me. So I'm just gonna keep my elbows nice and tight. I don't wanna open up where he can go into different counters. I don't want an underhook, I want a tight waist. So hand around the hip. I go from a belly down position to a side on position, and I push his knee on the floor. So you can see Darren is tracking my hip with his left heel. I start to walk, I get tension in the leg, and all we do is back elbow to clear the hook. We reverse into our training partner, and then we can go into side control where we can get our attacks going. We do the exact same setup as what we were working on the body lock pass. Maybe our opponent has, like, say, long limbs or just got like good flexibility, and I'm not able to bring his right leg over to my right leg. So he's like active hooks where he's just tracking my legs. So what we want to do here is bring my weight forward, so I'm up on my toes, knees are off the mat. I retract my elbow, and I get my wrist, forearm, and hand on the outside of his knee, and all we do is we pop it over and we go into like a fold and pass position. When we come into this position to stop Darren from framing and then moving away from those frames, so if Darren gets frames, you see he wants to move away to create space and get his guard back. What we're going to do is, as soon as we land, we take a trap grip. So if Darren uses his frames, he tries to move, I'm attached to him. And it's very easy for us now to go in, get our different grips. So we go knee on the inside, take them out. And I'm pressuring forward, so I'm pushing here, hand, elbow retracts back, hand, wrist and forearm on the outside of Darren's leg and knee. I make space, I keep contact with the shin and knee. All we do is pop his knee through our center line here, and then we go into a sprawl. I'm sprawling on Darren's knee and his hip. I take a trap grip. Really nice detail here to stop your training partner posting on your knee or framing on your head is just get like a grip on the wrist and then bring it out at a 45-degree angle. So if Darren tries to get this back along with the trap grip, it's very hard. I slide the knees up towards his elbow. Right knee goes into the hip pocket, left leg goes over, and then we're into the mount.